Hello there, and welcome to this quiet corner of history. Tonight, there is no need to stay awake, no need to remember names or dates or battles. Simply allow your mind to drift as we step gently back in time to the medieval world. A world without electricity, without comfort, and without rest. In medieval times, life was not designed to be easy or enjoyable. For most people, life was something to be endured. As the sun slowly rose over small villages, the day did not begin with choice, but with obligation. The majority of medieval people were peasants, tied to the land and bound to endless labor. Their mornings began early, often before the first light touched the sky. There were no alarms, only cold air and aching bodies. Hunger was a constant companion, never far away, never forgotten. A simple meal, if it existed at all, was made of coarse bread and thin porridge. Meat was rare and often only a distant dream. The medieval village was quiet, but not peaceful. Wooden homes stood close together, their walls thin, their floors made of dirt. Animals lived beside humans, sharing warmth and disease. The smell of smoke, damp earth, and unwashed bodies filled the air. Bathing was uncommon, and illness spread easily. A small cut, a simple fever, could quietly become a death sentence. Doctors were few, and knowledge was limited. Most cures came from superstition, prayers, or herbs that rarely worked. As the day continued, work did not slow. Fields demanded attention from sunrise until sunset. Heavy tools, rough hands, and bent backs were the marks of survival. There was no weekend, no rest day, no escape. Even children worked, their small bodies already learning exhaustion. Education was a luxury reserved for monks and nobles. For everyone else, life was repetition, day after day, year after year. And as night finally arrived, darkness was complete. No lamps, no glowing screens, only firelight and shadow. People slept lightly, always aware of hunger, of cold, and of fear. Fear of sickness, fear of punishment, fear of not waking at all. And yet, this was normal. This was life in medieval times.
As the morning slowly passed, the work did not become easier. For medieval peasants, the day was long, and the body was always tired. Most people worked the land, not because they wanted to, but because survival demanded it. Fields stretched endlessly, their soil heavy and unforgiving. Simple wooden plows, pulled by tired oxen, cut into the earth. Every movement required strength and patience. Hands became rough, cracked by cold, and hardened by years of labor. There were no machines, no shortcuts, only muscle and time. Hunger followed them into the fields. Meals were small, often the same every day. A dark bread made from barley or rye, sometimes mixed with dirt or sawdust to make it last longer. Thin soups, boiled from vegetables when vegetables were available. Meat was rare, reserved for feast days or for the wealthy. Many peasants went to sleep hungry and woke up the same way. A poor harvest could change everything. If rain came too late or too early, if frost touched the crops, famine followed. And famine was not quick. It arrived slowly, quietly, emptying bellies, weakening bodies, and stealing strength day by day. Children cried less as hunger grew, not because they were satisfied, but because they were too weak. The elderly were often the first to disappear, their bodies unable to endure. Work never stopped, even during illness. To rest was a risk. If the field was neglected, there would be nothing to eat later. Pain was ignored, injuries untreated, and exhaustion accepted as normal. The sun moved slowly across the sky, marking time, but not offering relief. Peasants worked until the light faded, their shadows growing long, their bodies heavy. There was no reward for hard work, only survival. Much of what they grew did not belong to them. Lords demanded taxes, paid in grain, in labor, or in money they did not have. Church tithes followed, taking more, always more. By the time demands were met, little remained. Life felt like standing still while the world asked for everything. As evening approached, the body slowed, but the mind remained anxious. Tomorrow would be the same fields, the same hunger, the same exhaustion. And yet, this rhythm of suffering was all they knew. It was life, simple, brutal, and unchanging. Long pause, soft breath.
Part 3. Medieval Homes, Cold and Disease. 40 minutes to 60 minutes. Very slow, very gentle. As the day finally came to an end, people returned to their homes. But home, in medieval times, was not a place of comfort. Most houses were small, built from wood, mud, and straw. The floors were bare earth, often damp, often cold. There were no windows made of glass, only small openings covered with cloth or animal skin. Light entered weakly, and warmth escaped easily. In the center of the home, a small fire burned. There was no chimney. Smoke filled the room, slowly drifting upward, escaping through the roof, or not escaping at all. Eyes burned, lungs suffered, and coughing was common. Furniture was minimal, a rough table, a few stools, and straw laid on the floor for sleep. Entire families shared one room. Parents, children, and sometimes animals, all together. Privacy did not exist. Noise, smell, and illness spread easily. Winter was the most feared season. Cold crept through the walls, through the floors, and into the bones. Clothing was thin, and blankets were few. Fires required fuel, and fuel was expensive. Many people slept in layers, pressed close together, sharing what little warmth they had. Still, many did not survive the winter. Disease was everywhere, quiet, unseen, and unstoppable. There was no understanding of germs, no real medicine, and no protection. A simple cough could become deadly. A small wound could rot and infect the body. Plagues arrived without warning, emptying villages and leaving silence behind. When sickness came, people relied on prayers, charms, and superstition. Doctors were rare and often as dangerous as the illness. Bloodletting, leeches, and strange remedies were common. Pain was normal. Death was familiar. Most people did not live long enough to grow old. Graves were simple, often unmarked. Funerals were short because life had to continue. Fields still needed work, animals still needed care, even as families mourned. As night deepened, homes grew darker. Candles were costly, so darkness was accepted. People slept lightly, aware of every sound. A cough, a cry, a sudden silence could mean loss. And yet this was ordinary, not tragic, not unusual, just another night in medieval life. In medieval society, law was not gentle. Rules were simple, but punishment was severe. Justice was not about fairness, it was about fear. Public punishment was common, not hidden, not private, but displayed for all to see. People gathered in town squares, not for celebration, but for warning. A thief, a beggar, or someone accused could be beaten, whipped, or executed. Proof was not always required. Suspicion was enough. Punishments were physical and painful. Hands were cut, ears were removed, bodies were broken. Prisons were dark, cold, and crowded. Many entered, few left alive. Executions were public events. Children watched, learning fear early. Life felt fragile. One mistake, one accusation could end everything. And so, people obeyed. Silence became safe. For women, life was especially hard. Marriage came early, often in the teenage years. Choice was rare. Women worked constantly, cooking, cleaning, farming, bearing children. Childbirth was dangerous. Many women did not survive it. There were no hospitals, no clean tools, no pain relief. Children grew up quickly. They worked alongside adults, fetching water, tending animals, laboring in fields. Play was rare. Education was uncommon. Life taught them everything through hardship. Loss was frequent. Siblings disappeared quietly. Parents learned not to hope too much. Love existed, but survival came first. As night settled over the village, darkness became complete. No streetlights, no distant glow, only moonlight and stars. Homes fell silent. People lay down on straw, wrapped in thin cloth, exhausted. Sleep came quickly, not because life was peaceful, but because bodies had nothing left. They slept lightly, waking often, listening, waiting. Morning would come soon, and everything would begin again. The same work, the same hunger, the same struggle. And slowly, breathing softened, thoughts faded, and the medieval world drifted away, leaving only silence and rest.